We migrated to 10.6.1 this term, and in the past we've used lesser versions, and this lab has gone fine. And editing is tricky, but the problems that students had with editing in the past was due to just learning how to use the tools and that frustration. So yesterday Tuesday, I was working on this lab in the GIS lab with our version of 10.6.1, and I was ready to just go work at Starbucks by the end of that hour. So I do not know if the errors were I just needed to reboot the computer and they went away, or it's the setup, because we image all the machines from one in here. So your computer at home may work fine. I don't know. So that's the caveat. And I'm going to try to demo some things I ran into and hope they show up here. So basically, you have a folder called Farm Shapes. You've got some tax parcel information, and you have what's called an ROI. For those of you on the exam, I asked what is a shapefile, the difference between a shapefile and a feature class. So these are two shapefiles, and you can see that with just the parcel shapefile, I have got 8 supplemental files that go into that one shape when I get it on the map. This is an older file system. You have to have the database file, you have to have the projection, you have to have the shape itself, the geometry in order to see that. The others, the indexing file, the others kind of make it draw faster, but they aren't required. Sometimes people will zip these up and leave a piece out. And if they leave the CPG out, you can still work with it. If they leave the DBF out, you can't work with it. If they leave the projection out, you can work with it, but you have to spend some time figuring out what the projection is supposed to be or was when this data was created. So these can be frustrating. So that's one reason using a geodatabase is really helpful. So I'm going to do a new blank map, and I'm going to put it in this folder, which I hope is on the desktop. Yeah. And I'm going to put it right here, just call it Songer. And I'm going to set relative pathways. Oh, I don't have anything in there, so I can't set relative pathways. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and create my geodatabase. And I'm going to create my feature data set. And I think I ask you to use an Oregon projection. But actually, do I have the directions here? Yeah. So a really nice way to find that is just copy this. And paste it in there and search. And then I have two options, feet or meters, so I'm going to work in feet. And take the defaults. Okay. All right, so now I have my geodatabase, and I'm going to import my region of interest in my parcel. Oh, I'm not going to import it there. I'm going to import it here. And I'm going to try multiple features and see if I can get both of them at one time. And yay, they actually worked. That's kind of amazing. Okay, so I have my the region of interest that I want to focus on, or not. Wow. That's not what you should see. Oh, there it is. Okay. I don't know why it went there. So I'm going to zoom to the region of interest. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And this parcel, this tax parcel, belongs to Miss Judy Bodum from Veneta. I think I took out the value and some of the personal information on that. Anyway, so there's her parcel. I want to focus on this region of interest on the map. And we've got two options. One is using, where's my catalog? One is to use the imagery to digitize, and the other is to use stream imagery from Esri. And you can use either, but not both. So you want to use one or the other and stay with that. And the goal then of this lab is to create layers that indicate her farm parcels. And she's got kind of a cornfield here, 2 wheat fields here, there's a dwelling over here, there's a pond, and there's some, I call them forests, but they're actually just tree clumps. So I want to be able to know the area in acres of all these different land parcels for her. And one of the things that you'll notice if I zoom in here is that the parcel and the region of interest don't really line up. And this is an issue with the imagery. So the parcels are tax lots that were highly surveyed, laid over images that change year to year. So the first year we did this, the imagery laid over, or the region of interest laid over the imagery better than it does right now. And so we're just going to digitize what's here and not worry about that right now, because you could actually move the parcel to make it fit the imagery, but then what's correct? And so I'm gonna go ahead and put on the streamed imagery. So here's the streamed imagery, and that's a little better if I want to zoom in or out, but this has been crashing for me. So 6 of one, half dozen of the other. So now I'm going to go ahead and set map document properties, and all of my data is, I could do that too, which is a really nice idea. So I created this geodatabase, and I'm going to go ahead and set that here as my default. And sometimes that cuts down on some of the navigational steps, but not always. So in order to digitize this, I need a feature class that has areas that I can trace these lines on the map. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new feature class, and I'm going to call it land cover. And then here for the alias, land cover, and it's going to be a polygon. And now I want to be able to identify my different fields. So I'm going to have one field, I think it's called cover. I should actually just look at the lab. Let's see. Yeah, cover, area, and owner. So I'm going to have one called cover, and this is going to be text because I'm going to write things like wheat, corn, pond, whatever. Then I'm going to make another one called area, and I want that in acres, so that's going to be float. And then the last one is the owner's name, and I'm going to make that text as well. And it added it to my feature class, so I'm just checking, yeah, it's exactly where it's supposed to be, because when I close the feature class, there it is. When I open my land cover attribute table, there's nothing in it, right? Because I haven't created any data, but I see my fields. So this is now ready to create data. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and zoom to the region of interest here again. And so now I want to start an editing session. So I'm going to go up here and go Editor, Start Editing. And I only want to edit the land cover. I'm going to go ahead and close that and dock this up here. And so when I'm editing the land cover, can I remove that so I don't accidentally? Yes, there's a way to do that. And I'm not going to do it right now. Anyway, okay. So I'm going to start with a polygon. And the first time you do this, so this may take a couple hours, and then you're going to erase it all and you'll do it fast because it's kind of learning the tools and how to do it. So if I look at the template here, it says that on here, this is a cornfield, this is a pond, these are wheat fields. I'm calling those forests. If you want to call them trees, I'm happy with that. And then I've got some gravel road here and gravel road here and a little bit of a dwelling area. So I want to be able to differentiate all of those on my map so that when I'm done, I have all of the area in her parcel covered with some kind of ground cover. Okay, and then I can calculate how many acres of corn, how many acres of road gravel do I need? You know, I've got all of that information when I'm finished. Okay, so this is ready to go. And now we'll hope it doesn't work so you can see why it doesn't work. Anyway, I'm going to start with one area and I'm going to kind of just put in some things here where the corn is. And if I were you, I would actually zoom in a little closer to this, but I'm just for sake of time. And so yesterday when I was doing this, I would left click and the whole polygon would disappear and I'd have to start over. Or I would click and this would happen. It would finish. When I didn't double click to finish it and it would finish on its own and I would have to delete it and start over. So there's some workaround. So this polygon here is corn. And so now I'm going to go up here to the attribute table. Oh, no, not of the ROI. I'm going to go to the attribute table. Okay, well, this is new for me. I'm turning that off for a minute. So if I go here, okay, I should not be getting the ROI here. Unless that's what I was digitizing. Okay, so I'm going to stop editing. I don't want to save my edits. Okay, I'm going to start editing. I'm going to edit that. All right, let me just try this again without the ROI on here. Okay, see it double-clicked itself for me, which I didn't ask it to do. So now I'm going to go here and type in corn. All right, so now I've labeled that. So one of the benefits of doing small polygons at a time, so if I go back to create feature, now I can start in here, I can do this part, and what I can do if I have these two is merge them into one. So I'm going to, on my editor toolbar, get that arrow, click that, and merge, and I want them both to be corn. Okay, so now I've kind of combined those fields. And for me, sometimes doing small pieces is a lot easier than doing large pieces. The other thing is once I have a polygon created, I can do the autocomplete. And autocomplete, I click inside an existing polygon. This is really bad. And then I double click in the other and it completes that edge for me. So because these are both corn, I'm going to join them again, or I'm going to merge. Yeah, so right now if we look at this, I have two polygons. one corn that I merged earlier and this one corn which doesn't have a name yet. So if I select them both and merge them, oops, didn't select them both, shift, there we go, and merge them, I want them to be corn. So now I have a corn polygon. Yeah. I use the selecting tool in the editing toolbar. There's an arrow, and if I hold my shift key down, there's that. Okay? Now that I've done that, I could decide to use the magnifier. And the magnifier lets me go in here and say, okay, now I want to do some road section. So here's my polygon again. I'm going to do the autocomplete because I've got that matching polygon. And I'm just going to go here and go up here. Ooh. Well, this is working well today. So, oh, look at that. That's terrible. Yeah, so I'm going to delete that vertex. I'm right-clicking to delete these because I don't like them. And I'm just going to go over here and finish that road section right there. Oh, nice. Oh, still past one. All right, so I've got the road section. And what I noticed is that this section is pretty bad. So I'm going to go back with the magnifier and I'm going to go into this part and fix that polygon. So I'm going to double click this and my vertices show up. So I can drag them along. I can insert a new vertex. Is one a vertex? Yeah. And so I can go on and say, okay, that's looking better on that. I can also use the pan tool here and move things down. Sometimes I find this, oh yeah, so that one's not good. So I need to kind of move that one over. So if I did this right the first time, it would save a lot of dinking around now. And I'm going to add a new vertex here. Vertex there. Vertex there. Okay, so that looks a little better. So now I could go back to my road and start creating some more road polygon here. So I'm going to come in there. And that's what happened. See how it went away? I'm gonna merge to road. So I'm going to add this to road when I'm done. So I'm going to double click that and finish that section of road. So now I'm going to go ahead and merge these two together. And I'm going to make them be road. So now I've got that road selection. And what you'll notice here is now I've started to build my polygons, right? So I've got that done. It's easier to work if I have these as empty. So I'm going to unselect here. Okay. And so now what I did was cover up my pond, which is a real pain. And you should save often. As soon as you get a piece that you like, save that in case it dies on you. So I've got this pond. Now I can create a pond here. So I'm going to go ahead. I would also in real life zoom in on this a little more. So I've got my pond. And if I look at my land cover, there's my pond. So I can name it here or in the drop down. Okay, I've got my pond here. But my pond is actually over my corn, right? So now I would actually have incorrect corn data because the pond is over it. So I want to do what's called a clip. And I want to clip this selected section out of what's below it. And so if I do a clip, oh, buffer difference, distance. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. But Now if I unselect pond, if I did that right, and I select corn, okay, so that didn't work. So let me do that again. I'm going to go in here and select the pond. I think because I was laying on the buffer distance, it didn't work. So now I'm going to go clip. Oh, there it is, 0. All right. So now when I select just there, so that's the area of the corn, right? So I've cut out that or erased that thing. So part of that is sometimes it's easy to go ahead and make the whole wheat field and then cut out these areas when you're done. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. Using that autocomplete lets me go in here and, oh, autocomplete. I can go in here. 1 second there, Israel. Snapping is on, so sometimes I have to zoom way in. Oh, look how bad that road one is. Woo. So I'm just going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. You can use the roller and zoom out and autocomplete that section. So I could do this in chunks and then merge them as wheat. Okay, lots of different ways to do it. Save. And this is working fine today, but when I did it the other day, it was a nightmare. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah, so good question. So this is probably an early morning shot, right? So we've got the sun coming in from the east, giving you a pretty good shadow. You're just going to extrapolate best you can. So start editing. So if I were doing this one, you know, I would, yeah. The other thing that you can do, oh, I don't know if it's, is the streaming option? There is a streaming option where you can just drag around. Where is it? Ah, where is it? Where is it? Wait a minute. Yes. Yeah, you like it now. So there it is. Try to edit that sucker. You know? Right. So if you've got a really steady hand and you didn't have coffee this morning, oh, I just deleted the wrong one. Undo delete feature, that's good. So, and then I was kind of, I don't know how I got this other weird polygon. So right now I've got, well, undid that, and I don't want to undo that. So I want to get rid of, yeah, so that's not even showing up, that last one. Oh, because maybe it's not finished. So let's go, let's do delete sketch on that one. See, yeah, there we go. All right, so that's good. So you can do the streaming, but let's say I want to edit this down here. And that's not too bad because you can also set how close you want these vertices to be. So if you've got a really big surface where your hand can kind of do a continuous digitizing, that's fine. The other thing to think about is trying to stay at a certain resolution when you're mapping, right? So that when you get in too far, you get kind of pixelated. So once you've covered the whole land, then you can go back here and you can calculate the area. Wrong. Thank you. Calculate geometry, area, and we want acres. Okay. You can fill in Miss Bodum's name. Field calculator owner equals J, capital. And you've got to do the double quotes because it is text. And then when you're finished, you will do a summary on the different types. So you're going to have how much acreage is total is in corn, how much in wheat, how much in road, how much in forest or trees. And then you're going to map this as categories. Symbology, categories. Okay. And Kevin, did you want to show them your cool thing that you figured out? Here, you can come talk. Hold on, this is Kevin showing you a cool thing he figured out.
Well, I mean, we're all just hunting around looking for different things you can do with stuff, and one of the ones I noticed is you can go down into description here, and it gives you a window you can type in some values, because part of the assignment is to give a summary of your acreage for each piece. So rather than putting a table on my map, which imports as different font styles and bold facing and stuff, I just used this window to put my data, and this shows up in your legend next to your symbology.
So if I just type in that acreage, which if you get that big, you need to do something different. Okay. And so now, where does that show up? Does it show up when you put in your... okay. So I'm going to zoom to layer. Okay, so there it is. And I'm going to insert the legend. And has this ever shown up for people to add the high resolution imagery? Does that always show up? Okay. And so there is, I'll zoom to this. So there's the legend that has the acreage. So you could do, land cover type with acreage, something like that. I didn't know that was a possibility, so it's pretty cool.